Hi everyone. So this is going to be a quick video on how I do my nails and how I put gel on top of them. So I've been using my real nails for some time now, but they're really thin. And so whenever I play, I'll usually get a little dent on the side over here on each one of them. And so I don't enjoy playing with tape on my nails for my students. So if I have to play musical examples and things like that, or if I have to play a gig, it's annoying to have to always tape your nails and sound really bad. So you don't want to show musical examples. How can you be musical if you sound really terrible? But so this kind of came about through me wanting to practice more, wanting to play more concerts, wanting to play for my students more, and I didn't want to sound terrible. And I knew I had good tone. It's just my natural nail would dent really easily. So what I started to do was back in college, I would use super glue on top of my nails. So I would do these guitarplayernails.com, and you'd get a little plastic sheet, form it, and then put it on with super glue. But the problem with that is I became allergic to the super glue. So yeah, so I ended up with like hives all over my body. It was terrible. And so in searching for a new solution that was like maybe not as toxic as super glue, I switched to this gel nail after talking to a few other guitarists. And so the product that I use is called Gelish, and there's three different kinds that I use. Let's see if I can see it in the camera here. Three different kinds. I'll do a close up and I'll link everything in the description below. But it's essentially the products that I use is Gelish, a pH bond, a foundation coat, like a base coat, and then a top coat is the other one here. And so I use all three of those to prep the nail. What I'll do is I'll use isopropyl alcohol, 91%. I think the lower ones don't work as well. But I'll use this just to clean the nail, and I'll do all this in a little bit later in the video. But I'll clean the nail surface, and then I'll actually go back after that and do this pH bond, which essentially is like a dehydrator. It'll suck all the moisture out of the nail, and you can see it. So I think that's really the key there. Another thing that I do is I rough up the actual nail before doing all this so that the base coat has something to stick to, all these little kind of crevices, you know, these like little microscopic crevices that it needs to stick to. If you have a real smooth nail and you put this stuff on, it won't stick for long periods of time. So they actually sell these little these little tools that have a little kind of like sandpaper thing you can stick to it. And then you can kind of rough up the actual nail here. I think it's really important to get on the sides, you know. And then also when you're putting the coats on, not bunching it up on the sides. If you bunch it up on the sides, it will, if the skin moves, it'll create like little gaps on the side. Oh, that's my computer coming on. It'll create little gaps on the side if you bunch it up, so you don't want to do that. So let's get to making these nails. Alright, so for the first step you want to do is, if you already have nails like I do, you want to trim all the excess little pockets that have come up on the sides here. So there's a few of them. So what I do is I take a little nail clipper here, and so I'll just go in and it's kind of hard, so I'll probably fast forward through this section. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time, so bear with me. So I kind of get it up there, clip all this excess off. Just anything that's lifting, you want to take that off. You don't have to take the whole nail off though. I kind of suggest you don't take the whole nail off. There's really no point. You know, maybe you're clipping it and you just see like the majority of it's coming off, then maybe, you know, you can take it off. But you don't want to rip off any of it. See, I don't have all of that off, but I don't want to take the rest of that off because it's really stuck and adhered to the tip of that nail. So if I took it off, if I forced it off, it would be bad for the real nail underneath. Because you don't want to rough up the real nail underneath too much. You just want to do it enough to where it sticks. If you go to a nail salon, they're gonna rough up the real nail way too much. And I apologize if you can't see this. So I'm clipping, you see, clipping all of that off the side, just so I can get you know, more adherence to the actual surface of the nail, the real nail. Right, so that's about it right there. Maybe a little on the side here. Yeah, just a little bit. Just anything that's lifting, or maybe you made a mistake and you did clump it up on the sides of the nail or something, and it's too, you know, it's too big. Okay, so after that point, what I'll do is, so this one's actually old, so I don't have any more replacement tips for this. So what I'll do is I'll just take a kind of a rougher nail file, and I'll just go in and kind of around the corners, just kind of lightly roughing up the natural nail, just a little bit. You don't want to go too much. Again, you don't want to make the real nail too thin underneath. And then you also want to rough up, I think, the old nail, right? The old gel on top. You rough that up a bit too so that the new stuff can stick on top, because you kind of want to put a coat on top. You don't want to do, you know, just the portion that's missing, that's grown out, you know. You want to kind of do it everywhere. Let's see, so we still seeing here? Yes, you still see. So as I rough up, so I've done one. There's one, you probably can't see too well. I'll zoom in and do all that kind of stuff later. So I'm just roughing up again the nail. On the sides is really important. Cleaning up the sides. You don't have any like hook nails. You don't have anything sticking off the side. Little extra pieces of skin, dead skin, stuff like that. You just want to clean everything up so it's nice and smooth, nice smooth surface. And then after you do this, you come back with the isopropyl alcohol and rub it, you know, all this excess stuff off. But again, don't go too hard, just enough to rough up the nail. But again, also corners are like the most important. If you can get in the corner, it's kind of hard. And actually, that little tool that I have is really nice to use. And I do the thumb as well. Actually, the thumb needs to have some clipped off. I'm sure I'll edit this video a little bit so you don't have to stick around and see me doing all this. But it's kind of beneficial to see the whole process, because you can see little portions come off there. And then I'll rough it up, come back with this thing here. Okay, so that's all nice and wrapped up. So once that's all good to go, I will take the alcohol rub, and so just kind of take paper towel, put it on there, and then just rub it off like that. Really easy. So that takes care of that portion, and you can see they're pretty good to go. So after that, then I'll come with the pH bond, and this comes just sucks any extra moisture out of the nail. I don't think it works, you know, it works as well if you just use the alcohol rub. This really dehydrates the nail. And honestly, it doesn't really, none of this stuff messes my real nail up. I've actually seen improvements to my real nails using this product, Gelish product. I don't know about other products, but this one seems to work very well for me. I haven't had any kind of, I mean, thank goodness, knock on wood, I haven't had any reactions or anything like that. Hopefully we don't end up in the hospital again. I don't think so, but yeah, so there's that. And they look terrible. The other thing you're going to need is these little nail forms. This is a double thick nail form. I guess you can see that. And this is just for sticking up underneath the nail so you don't get it on the skin. You want to avoid getting it like any on the skin at all. You really don't want that, because all that spells is later down the road you're probably going to have the nail lift. And it's pretty hard to stick this on, so I'll probably fast forward. But again, I'm not building a fake nail out. These are so hard to get on. I'm not building a fake nail out. I used to build only a fake nail. I'd clip the actual nail and then build one out. So you can see this base coat comes out like this. Just a little brush. I used to have it where there was no brush. So when you apply this, you need to apply it right in the center. And I kind of just press down like this, and I rock it from side to side, pushing out, kind of with the brush, you know, kind of like expand it out a little bit. And so I just, and then this is much safer than kind of picking it up. And moving it about, but yeah, you can get a bead of it, kind of. It's kind of like an art in and of itself, putting this stuff on, because you get kind of a bead of it going, and you work that bead around throughout the nail. And I take it all the way to the tip, and you may get some that bleeds underneath the nail, in which case, hopefully not too much, because then you can just take it off. You could maybe even file it off a little bit, file the edge until it clips to the real nail, and then, you know, kind of dig underneath your nail and pull the excess out. I've had to do that a few times because the issue is you'll get click noises when you approach the string and pluck. Now the next step is you need a UV light. So I have one here that I bought on Amazon, and I'll go underneath this for about a minute. And so, not very exciting, but yeah, about a minute, and I'll fast forward. Okay, so after I do the first coat, I'll kind of just take a look at it and see if the sides are all kind of even, if everything is kind of blending together with the old nail and the new stuff. And if it's not, which I can see it's not, I need to do just a little bit more coat to make it even on top. And you can always come with the nail file too and adjust things during the process, you know, before the final coat, the top coat goes on. You can come back and kind of fill in any of the gaps. Because ideally you set it up to where it grows out and you have a good nail for a while. You know, I usually do this and it lasts for about 2 weeks. You know, after 2 weeks, I'll just have to fill in the back. So that's essentially all that happens. So I'm about 2 weeks in now. Maybe even longer than that. They last forever. And the best thing too is if you're going to do this instead of the super glue has a tendency to, once it starts to give and go, like if there's a gap or bubble underneath, it will just go and pop off. Whereas this stuff seems to stick more and seems to be a little bit more reliable, a little bit safer. If maybe say the side starts to lift or something, it's not going to completely give out and go. So that's it right there. And then I'll do a top coat, and I just kind of, as it comes out, I kind of brush off the excess because sometimes there's a lot. It's not so much like a gel. So, but I go a small coat again. I start in the center and I kind of work my way around to the outer parts. And put my finger down so I'm shaking when I get in here. Yep, and again, try not to get it underneath your nail, because then you're going to have some issues with tone. If you have your real nail underneath, you shouldn't have any issues with tone as long as you filed the edge okay. And I think using a glass nail file is the best thing to use for the edge. 45-degree angle, go all the way across, even on the side you're not playing on. Just take that 45-degree all the way across, all the way to the other side. And, you know, if you do that, I think, and then follow it up with sandpaper, buffer, all that good stuff, you should have a pretty good tone. At least I do. Alright, so that takes care of the first nail, and so I'll just pop this off, and reach over here, probably grab a little bit of this alcohol rub again, and it's going to be like tacky, kind of, to avoid that, you just kind of rub some alcohol rub on top of it, and then it's good to go. And it's just like brand new fingernail there. So I'm not sure if you can see that well enough, but I'll do like kind of a close-up in a little bit. So, alright, the next nail would be my middle nail. Again, you get just like a little bead of it, and I kind of just start in the center. Even if there is fake nail there already, it doesn't matter, just start in the center. Kind of work your way around. This one didn't need nearly as much as my index finger, so I may actually come back and like kind of wipe some of this off, because I don't need all that. So. Yep, and then as I come, I just want to make sure I get the side that I'm playing on. That's really obviously the most important side. The other side's important too, but you want to be really detailed with it. Be very careful. That's why I think approaching it with the nail, with the brush on the nail, the whole time almost. I mean, you're lifting. You can see that I'm lifting as well, but yeah, because you can work it out. You can kind of work it into the corners without having to kind of like, you're not dropping it in, I guess, is maybe what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to do my nails. So here we go. So there's that. And then again, UV light. And you can get these on Amazon. They're cheap. I have a tiny one that I use as well. USB. This one plugs into the wall, but I wanted a bigger one for at home because I think they work slightly better, but they're essentially all the same. Even the small one is essentially the same stuff. It's just a UV light. Alright, good. So we got the base coat on, and then I'm going to come in with the top coat again. It's the blue one. And this stuff is fairly expensive, I won't lie, but I've been able to make, a ton of nails. I don't even know. I haven't counted, but I've probably made, I don't even know, jeez. It's got to be probably 10, 15, 20 sets of nails already. And it's still, essentially full. Because I'm using so little, right? I'm not building complete fake nails off of it. I'm just putting on top of my real nail. Alright, so there's that. Top coat's easy to do. Sometimes I just do top coat as the filler. I don't even worry about the base coat if I'm just filling in the back. So, but again, I think if you're not using the isopropyl alcohol and the dehydrator, the most common complaints when I show students that hey, you should do gel, or suggest doing gel nails, is they'll go and do it, but the sides will lift. It'll be big and bulky. They'll put it on too thick. I did it way too thick when I was first starting out. But I'm always kind of the person who just will not give up until I find a solution. So I had the terrible experience with having to deal with the super glue, being allergic to super glue. I had to do glue dots afterward. Rico Stover's glue dots for a while there, which was a complete nightmare. They're good for the use, but not for actual performances and stuff where there's a lot on the line. Yeah, so, and then I found this after talking to Renee Esquierdo, so, which, thank you so much. Alright, so that takes care of the middle now. Let's pop this thing off again, take all the little tacky stuff with the alcohol rub. Take it off, and I'll probably fast forward or something. But there's the middle nail. We got 2 nails done. Now we just have to do a couple more. You can come back later and refine all of this with the nail file. It's really not a big deal. Sometimes if you get it in the corner and it's too thick or something, you can just modify it later by sanding it down. I feel like I'm shaking. I must have had a ton of caffeine today. That must be what it is. Too much shaking. Good. Alright, so that one is done, and then I go UV light. Alright, cool. And so that takes care of that. And then now I'm going to put on the top coat, which this doesn't need much. It's a little too thick already. Just a little bit, so. But I've only ever used all 3, so I'm kind of not sure if it'll work without the top coat. I've been told it doesn't work as well. It's kind of like a sealant, I suppose, for the top. There we go. And then, my pinky, again, sometimes I just do the top coat here because I don't really care about the pinky. It's really just for rasgados. And maybe I'll pluck with it if I'm, I don't know, exercising my hand. So let's go ahead and cure these 2. Get this away from the UV light. So there we go. And the last thing we'll do is the thumb, which again, I usually don't even use a guard on the thumb. Don't really have a huge issue with it lifting ever. This last time it was a little bit of lift in the back, but not on the top. It never lifts on the edge. Maybe when I first started, because I didn't know what I was doing. But now I've gotten pretty good at it. That's why I felt like, okay, now I can actually make a video talking about it. I was like a little bit insecure when I first started using them because I would clip my real nail off and then build a fake nail out, which is cool, but you get this little zzz, as you approach the string, the nail is like the natural nail is softer, so you're getting this kind of artificial thing that's approaching the string and getting this zzz kind of sound to it. So, but anyways, all right. So that takes care of that. Let's do the thumb real quick. I'll probably do a base coat here, just a little bit of base coat, because I don't want. Actually, my base coat is getting below. There we go. So yeah, and then I'll just do, again, just in the center, right on top of everything, the fake nail, I mean the, you know, the previous nail. And then, yeah, just work it around to the edges. Again, being very light on the edges. You don't want to clump it up. It will lift. It will be terrible. It will be terrible. Cool. So that looks pretty good. And then UV light. I usually do probably 1 or 2 sessions per finger of the UV light, depending on how many coats I do, if I do 1 or 2 coats. But these things are cheap, you know, $15, $20 on Amazon. All this stuff you can get on Amazon. Although Sally's Beauty Supply is where I got this Gelish stuff. And it comes in a kit with like some nail files and other things. It comes with this little tool. So, you know, maybe get that. I don't know. There were some other things in it as well. And then a top coat, and then we'll be done. So it's not that bad. It's a little intimidating at first, putting on the gel, but I definitely think it's worth it. To me, it's not toxic, and I'm allergic to literally everything. Go figure, I'm actually allergic to alcohol now. I just can't believe it. And yeah, so my whole life I've been allergic to everything, and then now I've developed that allergy, which is crazy. So I hope to goodness I don't develop an allergy to this stuff, because it's fantastic. So I highly encourage you to try this out if you find that your nails are denting. If you have really kind of just weak nails, you can play scales for a little bit and you notice, oh, now I have no nails. That's a lot of fun, isn't it? So this allows you to kind of be more musical. It allows you to think for a little bit, right? You have a nail now and you can develop your shape and find the shape that you may be searching for, that is there waiting for you to find, but your nail is always denting, right? And you can't find it. Alright, so that takes care of that. And so at the end of it all, we have the finished nails. Hopefully you can see finished fancy nails. Anyways, that's how I make my gel nails. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. So again, I use these little guards, which I have stuck all over my hand. I use a glass nail file to file my nails after I get done with all of this. Buffer that kind of looks like this, so it's rough here, a little buffer there, and this as well. This is really important. You know, I have the sandpaper too. I use 1500, and I sand my nails and get them all ready. And but even after doing this, I can actually go ahead and do that now that I'm done. Even doing the sandpaper is nice, but you really need the buffer too to get that silky feel out of the strings. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about, but when you get that kind of buttery, silky feel, I think that really is accomplished more easily with this buffer. And I just kind of do all nails on top at the same time, thumb by itself. And then I'll test the thumb with the index and see if it's like glass, if it's smooth, really smooth. And so it should be good. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know, yeah, again, if you have any questions, concerns, if you think I'm crazy, whatever, in the comments below. Thank you for watching.